So I've been using this Pixel 10 Pro for nearly a year. Overall, it's been an amazing experience and I've been very happy with the money I spent on it. That's right, this isn't a review unit from Google. I paid for this with my own money. However, things have changed in the past year and I don't feel quite the same about this phone as I did when I bought it. I can sum up my feelings into 3 words. Pro has changed. Stay with me on this. Let's go back real quick to the launch of the first Pro Pixel phone, the Google Pixel 6 Pro. With that phone, it was easy to see why it had the word Pro in the name. Compared to the regular Pixel 6, it had an additional telephoto lens, a bigger display with a higher refresh rate and a better resolution, a bigger battery, more RAM, a better selfie camera. It was very clear cut why the Pro phone was better. And when you compared the Pixel 6 Pro hardware to other phones at the time, it sized up to the competition pretty well. Since then, a lot has changed. The Pixel 10 and the Pixel 10 Pro are the same size with very similar displays. They even look pretty much the same thanks to the Pixel 10 now having a telephoto lens, the first time ever that we've seen a primary, ultra-wide, and telephoto lens on a standard Pixel. Sure, those cameras aren't as good as what's in the Pixel 10 Pro, but most consumers will have no idea about that. The Pixel 10 has the same chipset as the Pro, the same charging speeds, the same Pixel Snap support. It even has a bigger battery than the Pro. The gist here is that the line that separates the Pro phone from the non-Pro phone has blurred quite a lot over the past few years. In a way, this is a good thing. For 90% of buyers, the Pixel 10 is a terrific purchase. At a list price of $799, it's a solid competitor to the iPhone 17 and the Galaxy S26, which are similarly priced. Getting many of the features that Pro phones had a few years ago for the price of a non-Pro phone today, it's great news. But the problem there is that the Pixel 10 Pro doesn't feel like it's as much of a step up. In other words, if we were to represent the value of the Pixel 10 as compared to the Pixel 6, the difference might look like this. The gap between these 2 bars represents 4 years of progress in bringing Pro-level features to the vanilla model. But if we were to compare the value of the Pixel 10 Pro as compared to the Pixel 6 Pro, it might look like this. You can see that gap here just isn't as big as the gap over here, because spec for spec, the Pixel 10 Pro just doesn't have that much to it that we didn't already have with the Pixel 6 Pro. That graph is a great representation of what I'm trying to say here, and we actually created it with a tool called Gamma, and they are the sponsor for this video. Gamma is awesome for making presentations using nothing but text prompts. Just tell it what you want to create and it will do all the heavy lifting for you. If you have presentations you've already made or had a professional make for you, you can upload them to Gamma and it will work to match those designs. This is perfect if you have existing branding or formatting stuff you already love. Once you've created a presentation, you can easily export it to whatever format you want, including PowerPoint, Google Slides, PDF, image formats, and much more. Gamma has a tier that is totally free and doesn't even require you to enter a credit card number to get started. You can make presentations with as many as 10 cards, and you get 400 credits to use as you please. There are paid tiers that get you monthly credits and allow you to create more cards within a presentation, among other perks. Gamma also has connectors with Claude and ChatGPT, so you don't even need to leave your favorite tools to use Gamma. If you want to make an awesome presentation for yourself, head into the description and click the Gamma link to get started for free right now. Thanks again to Gamma for sponsoring this video. But now let's get back to examining the Pixel 10 Pro on its 1-year anniversary. The other big problem that's happened over the past few years is China.
China.
Over in China, we are seeing phones launch that are actually Pro phones. The Realme P4 Power set a new bar for battery capacity with a 10,000 mAh silicon carbon cell, which is more than double the Pixel 10 Pro's battery. Granted, that's in a much bigger phone, but still, that's a huge advancement, one which no Pixel phone can even come close to matching. Meanwhile, the Oppo Find X9 Ultra has some of the best cameras you'll find in any smartphone, to the point where it feels more like a camera with a phone attached to it rather than the other way around. This makes the Find X9 Ultra a huge threat against the one thing that pretty much everyone could agree about when it comes to Pixels, which is that they are incredible for photography. Next to something like the Find X9 Ultra, that claim is hard to keep up. And of course, there's video. You don't even need to go to China to see a phone that bests the Pixel 10 Pro for video, as the iPhone 17 Pro smashes it, and so does the Galaxy S26 Ultra. But then you have phones like the Vivo X300 Ultra, which destroys all competitors when it comes to video filming. I mean, the Pixel 10 Pro can't even shoot in log, so how can it even begin to compete on these fronts? The bottom line here is that over the past year, we've seen real, groundbreaking hardware innovation from China that is making the Pixel 10 Pro look less like a Pro phone and more like a mid-ranger. There are only two things protecting the Pixel from this onslaught. One of them is the fact that Chinese phones aren't available worldwide, especially here in the United States. But that safety net isn't going to last. Chinese phones may not ever become prevalent here for loads of geopolitical reasons I'm not going to go into in this particular video, but the rumor mill says that Samsung has its own Pro phone on the way, possibly called the Galaxy S27 Pro. This would be a more compact version of what we expect to see in the Galaxy S27 Ultra, with most of the specs but no S Pen and in a smaller body. If that does become a reality in 2027, the Pixel 10 Pro will no longer be the default choice for Americans who want a small Android phone that doesn't skimp on specs. That could spell big trouble for Google. The second thing that protects Google against the rest of the market is that Pixel software is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone. I know that's subjective and some people will say other brands have software that's as good or even better, but ask any Pixel owner what they love most about their Pixel, and 9 times out of 10, they'll say software. That's a great feather in Google's cap, but it can't be the sole reason to get a Pixel. And ultimately, that's where the Pixel 10 Pro stands right now. The only thing that's pro about it when you compare it to all the other Pro and Ultra phones that have landed since the Pixel 10 series launched is the fact that its software is second to none. That's just not enough. When the Pixel 6 Pro launched, it had the software and the hardware to make it very, very competitive against the mightiest of phones that launched around the same time. In just a few years, the world has shifted, and the Pixel desperately needs to catch up. Now, if you've watched anything on my channel before, you know I'm a Pixel guy. I am very much looking forward to getting a Pixel 11 Pro, and I might as well call it now that I'll almost certainly be getting a Pixel 12 Pro. But my love for Pixels can't be kept alive by software alone. And my willingness to pay a pro-level price for a phone that isn't actually a pro-level experience anymore when compared to the competition can only extend so far. I'm not saying that the Pixel 10 Pro is a bad phone. Like I said at the beginning, I love the phone and very much think it's worth the money I paid for it. I know this hasn't been a typical 1 year later smartphone review, and it might sound like I'm angry or disappointed, but I'm really not. I guess the right word I'm feeling is concerned. The Pixel 10 Pro is an amazing device today, right now, but Google is going to support it for 7 years. Will the Pixel 10 Pro still be worth having 7 years from now? I don't know. The Pixel 6 Pro is surprisingly still pretty competitive today, and even just got its final upgrade to Android 17, which is really cool. Maybe the Pixel 10 Pro will be the same when it gets its last update. I sure hope that's the case. But either way, Pro has changed. What was Pro 5 years ago isn't Pro now, and Google's going to need to adapt to that if it wants to keep people like me loyal. So yeah, 1 year later after buying the Pixel 10 Pro, and I'm happy with it. If you've been on the fence about jumping into the world of Pixels, I highly suggest you do so. The Pixel 11 series is just around the corner now, so get ready for that. Hopefully, there will be some truly exciting advancements with these phones that will help Pixels earn the Pro name they are using. Be sure to like and subscribe to find out all about the Pixel 11 series when they come out. And if you want to hear me talk more about the Pixel 10 Pro and how it's stacked up over the past few months, check out this video here where I do a much more traditional 6 months later review. I'll see you all down in the comments.